Good morning. Thank you so much for choosing Citizen TV on this 29th day of August 2022. My name is Sam Gituku. We continue the coverage of Kenya's Choice. And today it's a special day for some 8 polling areas, or electoral areas. We're talking about Mombasa County, who are voting for the governorship seat to the person that will be succeeding Governor Hassan Joho. We're also speaking about Kakamega County, where we know that there's a gubernatorial election for one that will be succeeding one Wycliffe Oparanya. There are also elections in Pokot South, Kacheliba, in Rongai, as well as Kitui Rural, and 2 other areas, that is in Nairobi's Embakasi area, as well as in Meru County, where there is a ward that is electing the member of County Assembly. We'll be looking at that later, but first let's take you right to where those activities are happening. You're talking about the situations in Kakamega. Seth Olale is in Mombasa, and one Brenda Wanga is in Kakamega County. We also know that Marian Nyambura is in Rongai Constituency in Nakuru County. We begin with Seth Olale. Seth, good morning. What can you tell us about the preparations? It's just about that hour that the opening of polling should be taking place. Have they? Will they?
Good morning, Sam Gituku. We are at the National Industrial Training Authority, NITA, in Mombasa, Nelly Constituency, and polling is about to get underway. Voting actually is supposed to get underway any moment from now. The pictures you're seeing behind me are those of the polling clerks, of course, presided over by the presiding officer manning this particular polling station, and they are just now getting started. Any moment from now, they are going to allow the voters, especially those who registered in Nelly Constituency, just now to have their way inside this particular polling station. What we know that is that, remember that Mombasa County has a total of 6 constituencies. We have Kisauni, Nyali, where we are right now. We also have Mvita, Likoni, Changamwe, and Jomvu. So those live pictures are from the National Industrial Training Authority here in Nelly Constituency. So any moment from now, the presiding officer just there checking if the KIMS kits are functional. Remember that all this was also done yesterday. The returning officers for all the 6 constituencies inspected this particular equipment, as well as checked on the ballot materials. We're talking about the ballot papers, ballot boxes, the voting booths, just to ensure that this particular exercise, the much awaited Mombasa gubernatorial election, goes on as planned. Talking about Nelly Constituency, we know that Nelly has about 124,253 voters, and just part of the larger 641,913 total registered for Mombasa County. Now, apart from Nyali, which has about 124,253 voters, we also have Kisauni constituency, which actually has the highest number of registered voters. We're talking about 135,276 voters. Next, we move to Mvita, which has 118,974 voters. Likoni has 94,764, Changamwe 93,561, and of course Njomvu constituency 73,085 voters. What we know is that 7 candidates have been cleared. But right now, I just want to call upon the presiding officer just to tell us, to introduce herself, and just to tell us what's happening, because just come next to me. Hebu tueleze, tuko hapa Pwani katika kituo hiki cha kupiga kura. Hebu tueleze tu kufikia sasa, mumejiandaa, muko tayari, kwa sababu tayari ni saa 12 asubuhi na wapiga kura wanafaa kuwa tayari wameshaingia. Hebu tueleze, je, wanatakiwa kuingia? Kwa sababu tulipofika hapa wengine walikuwa bado kule nje, saa muda uko umefika, lakini tueleze tu kwa hivi sasa mambo iko vipi hapa?
Okay, kwa majina yangu naitwa Celestine Mwaka, presiding officer wa NITA 05 polling station. Kwa sasa hivi tushafungua kituo na tunatarajia kwamba tuanze mara moja zoezi letu la kupiga kura. Tushafungua Kimskit na iko sawa kabisa, tayari kwa Wanakenya waweze kufanya zoezi hili la demokrasia.
Na labda tutuambie tu ni wapiga kura wangapi ambao wamejiandikisha hapa katika kituo hichi cha NITA?
Hapa NITA kwa sehemu yangu hapa station yangu 05 ni 650.
Now that's the presiding officer for this particular polling station, station 5, and she just said it's about 650 registered voters. But remember, Sam Gituku, when going to be stationed here in Nelly, will be traversing all the 6 constituencies just to get a feeling of how things are right now, because now the official opening of all the polling stations in Mombasa County is already underway. We're talking about 1,041 polling stations. Remember that the candidates that were cleared to contest for this particular gubernatorial election, we're talking about Hezron Awiti, we're talking about Hassan Omar Hassan for UDA, William Kingi Kazungu, Pamoja African Alliance, Daniel Munga Kitsao, Independent, Shafi Mwaganga, Upia, Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir, ODM, and then we also have Said Abdallah Walugombe, who's from the Usawa party. So this particular moment, viewers, we are just handing you over to Sam Gituku in studio. So Sam, we've started here in Nelly Constituency. We're also going to move to Mvita, where we'll be, we're informed that some of the leaders, some of the candidates there, Abdul Somad as well as Hassan Omar Sarai, will be casting their vote in that particular constituency. Sam.
All right. Thank you so much, Setholale from Mombasa. And of course, we'll be looking in details about the candidature in that area for the governorship seat. And let's now cross over to Kakamega County, where Brenda Wanga is standing by for the situation there. We know that there are some 844,000 registered voters. Brenda, good morning. What can you tell us about the official opening time and also how the voters are lined up to do this honorable duty?
Indeed, Sam, we are in Kakamega County, Kakamega Town, in the heart of the town at Muliro Gardens, one of the 176 polling stations of Lurambi constituency. As we know, Kakamega Town is situated within Lurambi constituency, one of the 12 constituencies that make up for the greater Kakamega County. As we speak right now, polling stations have opened exactly at 6 o'clock a.m. The people who had gathered here, some of the voters, the agents, the polling officials already had set up tent. Voting is currently underway. One of the exercises that will be taking place throughout the day. There are about 7 streams at this polling center, and all of them, as we speak right now, are admitting people to cast their vote. It has been a long wait for the people of this county to exercise their democratic right to choose the successor of the first governor of this county, a race that has attracted 7 candidates from all over the constituencies in this county. As we speak right now, like I mentioned earlier, polling is underway. There are about 89,770 voters in Lurambi constituency alone. These voters will be coming out to vote. At least the candidates hope that they will be coming out in their large numbers. As it is, Sam, it is still early times of the exercise, and right now I think I'm just joined by one person who's very excited to have just voted. Please come here, sir. Just tell us, you are amongst the first people kupiga kura hapa. Yes, unasikia namna gani?
Iko smart. Nimevote kamili kabisa, na naomba wote wa Kakamega wakuja wajienjoy kama mimi. Iko samama, hawa watu wamefanya kazi kamili. Tena wanahabari wako chonjo.
Thank you very much. So that is the scenes exactly here. People excited to see that this morning has finally come. That they've come out in quite impressive numbers, even for an early start. At least here at Muliro Gardens, we'll be keeping an eye on this and other stations across Kakamega as the people of this county go to the polling stations to choose who will be the next governor, who will be succeeding Wycliffe Oparanya. Sam, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Brenda Wanga, for that from Kakamega. Of course, we'll be getting back to her later on. The polling will continue up until 5 p.m. Now, in Rongai Constituency, that is Nakuru County, Marian Nyambura is standing by. This is an area that was also affected by the situation of a mix-up in ballot papers, and therefore they will be voting for their next member of parliament. There are some 3 candidates. Marian, good morning. I see that some activity behind you. What can you tell us about this and the day that we're expecting ahead?
Absolutely, Sam. We are at Masinjiri Primary School, which is one of the polling stations. It has a total of 3 streams and a total of 1,864 registered voters here. So at the moment, we are at this polling station, whereby the polling station is already open. We are seeing different voters trickling in just to exercise their democratic rights. So at the moment, what we understand is that outside, there is a handful of voters at the moment because it's 6 p.m. and maybe most people will, or maybe the voting exercise will pick up in the course of the day. But at the moment, the presiding officer, the deputies here, 3 particular clerks, as well as 2 police officers at this particular stream of the station. We understand that the KIMS kit are actually working. So everything is actually okay here at the Masinjiri Primary School, which is a polling station in Rongai Constituency. Rongai Constituency has a total of 84,625 registered voters across the 5 wards of Soin, Visoi, Mosop, Solai, and Menengai West. Remember, there are 3 contenders here. There is the incumbent Raymond Moi of Kanu. There is Paul Chebor of the United Democratic Alliance, as well as Luka Kigen of the Chama cha Mashinani. So at the moment, we expect that Raymond Moi, between now and 8 o'clock, he will cast his vote here at this particular station, which is the Masinjeri Primary School, as well as Paul Chebor will cast his ballot in Solai Ward. Remember, he was the MCA for Solai Ward, a former MCA, and so he's seeking this particular seat for a second time. So the battle here in Rongai Constituency, one of the 11 constituencies in Nakuru, is between the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya as well as the United Democratic Alliance, or the Kenya Kwanza Coalition, given that Paul Chebor of the United Democratic Alliance, as well as Raymond Moi of KANU Party, and Luka Kigen of Chama cha Mashinani, which is the former Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto's party. So at the moment, we expect that possibly the polling or the voters will, the voting exercise will pick up in the course of the day. But at the moment, at this particular station, which has 3 particular streams, a total of 1,800 registered voters across the 3 streams, we understand that that might pick up in the course of the day. Now, Rongai Constituency is one of the constituencies where we saw a ballot paper mix-up on the August of 9th. And on that particular day, IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati informed the public that this particular election will take place on the 23rd of August. But we saw that just because of the fact that IEBC claimed that there was harassment of officials, they had to postpone this particular election for a second time up until today, which is the 29th of August. So we expect that the registered voters will be here, 84,625 registered voters across the different polling stations. So at the moment, we have already confirmed that indeed it's true that the ballot papers are in line or aligned according to the pictures, as well as the names of the 3 candidates are aligned, as opposed to what was witnessed on the 9th of August. So Sam will be here just to give more details once we see more activity at this particular station. We will, of course, traverse the different 5 wards, include Soin, Visoi, Mosop, Menengai West, and Solai wards, to bring more details to our viewers regarding this particular exercise on the postponed election here in Rongai Constituency.
All right. Thank you so much, Marian Nyambura from Rongai Constituency in Nakuru County. And she talks about the opening of polls. We want to take a look at what we know in the activities that are happening today. We know there's some elections in 8 areas. There are 2 governorship elections in Kakamega and Mombasa County. 4 parliamentary elections that we'll be looking at and 2 MCA elections, one in Nairobi County, the other one in Meru County. The polls are opening at 6 a.m. They should close by 5 p.m. These are the candidates in the Mombasa governorship election. Hezron Awiti of VDP Party, Hassan Omar of UDA, William Kingi from Pamoja African Alliance, Daniel Kitsao, an independent candidate, Shafi Makazi of Upia Party, Abdul Somad Nashir from ODM, and Said Omari of Usawa Party. That is in Mombasa. But what is in the race of Kakamega? These are the candidates: Fernandez Baraza from ODM, Shakalaga Kwajirongo of UDP, Suleiman Kanyanya of KANU, Cleophas Malala of ANC, Samuel Omukoko of MDP, Austin Opitso of an independent candidate, and Michael Sako is also an independent candidate. The race in Rongai Constituency, these are the candidates: Paul Chibor from UDA Party, Luka Kigen from Chama Cha Mashinani, and Raymond Moy of KANU. These are the people that the residents of Rongai are voting for. In Pokot South, there are 3 candidates also: Simon Kalekem of UDA, James Lopoyetum, an independent candidate, and David Kosing from the Kenya Union Party in that area, which is in West Pokot County. And of course, there is another election that is going on at Kitui Rural Constituency that we know that there are different candidates. There are 2 of them in Kitui Rural, and of course, we'll be mentioning them later on. But now to the newspapers, and this is what is going on. And let me just take a copy here to take a look at the dailies this morning. We're talking about the Daily Nation and the Standard. On the front page of the Daily Nation, you see that the main story there is Art of the Gov. They're talking about IT experts says IEBC system was hacked, as affidavits reveal rather. Also says that a petition here, a revelatory affidavit there, a press briefing here, and the skeletons of this election have finally been revealed. The chaos, disorder, and mess at the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission this morning mirror the literary works of Sir Pelham Granville Woodhouse, one of the most acclaimed English humorists of the British imperial era. But elections are a serious matter, so how did one of the most important institutions in the Republic degenerate into such bedlam, and can it regain its credibility? You see the stories on page 6 and 7 of the Daily Nation, but also talking about the IEBC team, which is led by one Githu Muigai, the former Attorney General. William Ruto won the 7.176 million votes against former PM Odinga's 6.9 million. The presidential election was conducted in accordance with the law. That's according to the IEBC lawyers, and also says that tallying and verification was done by the IEBC as a commission, not by Chebukati alone. Also says that only 6 polling stations were yet to be tallied at the time of final results declaration, and Commissioners Cherera, Nyangaya, Wanderi, and Masit wanted to force a runoff. Also says that Commissioner Gulie was set to announce results from 27 constituencies before violence broke out at the Bomas of Kenya. But then there is IEBC through Mansour. This is the Cherera team, the team of 4 commissioners. They are saying that court should nullify the presidential election results and order for an audit of IEBC systems. We are the majority, hence have authority to respond on IEBC's behalf. There was no transparency in presidential election tallying and verification. Chebukati failed to consult other commissioners on critical IEBC issues. And of course, they're talking about critical decisions, including tallying and verification. IEBC has become a shadowy institution with no accountability or transparency on account of Chebukati's actions, and that Chebukati and others should be barred from victimizing the 4 commissioners. Those are the 2 presentations before the Supreme Court. But of course, we understand that the Issa Mansour presentations were not admitted, but they were kept in the registry. They will be considered in court if that application is made, knowing that already IEBC had already made those presentations to the registry of the Supreme Court. Now, according to the Standard, the main story there is where lies the truth. Leaders continued trading accusations yesterday on who did what to impact the result of the presidential election. The Supreme Court begins hearings this week with a verdict expected to be delivered on September 5th. Of course, they're saying what William Ruto is quoted as saying: IEBC conducted transparent, free and fair election. If there is a transparent election ever witnessed in Kenya, it is that of 2022. The Electoral Commission has set a new standard of performance for independent institutions. But Azimio presidential candidate, that is Raila Odinga, says that are the 3 commissioners saying the truth, or are the 4 telling the truth? Where is the truth between the 2 groups of commissioners? There is a truth somewhere. What I am asking for as Raila Amolo Odinga is to be told the truth. That is what Raila Odinga is quoted as having said. And of course, you see the other situations, the by-elections, all the mini-elections, all the elections that are happening in the 8 electoral areas across different parts of the country. And now I want us to take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines in our newsroom this morning so that we can understand some of the affairs. Now, preparations are complete ahead of the postponed elections slated for this morning in the 4 constituencies of Kacheliba, Pokot South, Rongai and Kitui Rural. Security has also been beefed up across the 4 constituencies, with the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission confirming that there are no hitches with the ballot papers as witnessed in the August 9th polls. Marian Nyambura filed this report earlier.
It is less than 24 hours before 249,177 voters registered across Rongai Constituency in Nakuru, Kacheliba and Pokot South in West Pokot County, and Kitui Rural in Kitui County head to the polls for the 2nd time in 2 weeks. This time round to elect their member of the National Assembly. IEBC is keen this time to ensure the ballot paper mix-up error does not occur. In Rongai Constituency, Nakuru, ballot materials have been dispatched to the 197 polling stations across 5 wards. IEBC made a slight change to the constituency tallying center, which was moved from Kirobon Secondary School to the Nakuru Teachers Training College.
We'll open the polling station at 6 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. But the time of the closure will depend on when the polling station will be opened.
Rongai constituency has 84,625 registered voters. The incumbent Raymond Moy of KANU will battle it out with Paul Chebor of UDA and Luka Kigen of CCM. In Pokot South constituency, IEBC officials converged at the Chapareria Vocational Training Center to dispatch materials to the polling stations.
Tuna uhakika kwamba watu watatokea. Wanasiasa the candidates wamehamasisha raia watoke.
The constituency has 58,406 registered voters, where David Kosin of the Kenya Union Party will square it out with Simon Kalekem of UDA and James Teko, an independent candidate. 094. At the Kodich Vocational Training Center in Kacheliba constituency, electoral officials deployed to the constituency ensured that ballot materials arrived at the 208 polling stations.
Usalama iko sawa. The 208 polling stations, kuna officers, we have patrol teams. The turning center is well catered for and everything is okay.
Kacheliba has 51,146 registered voters. Mark Lomunokol of UDA will face Titus Lote of the Kenya Union Party and John Lodinyo of KANU. At the Southeastern Kenya University in Kitui Rural, IEBC officials undertook a similar exercise, verifying from the ballot pallets holding the ballot papers that the names of the candidates and photos are aligned. The ballot papers were later distributed to the 157 polling stations.
Previously, there was a problem with the ballot papers, but that has been solved. We had the candidates come to confirm that the ballot papers were okay and everything was okay. So we are proceeding with the elections as planned.
Kitui Rural MP Molika is seeking re-election on a Wiper Party ticket, while former MP Charles Nyamai of UDA is seeking a comeback. The area has 55,000 registered voters. Marian Nyambura, Citizen TV.
All right, so another story now. The story is a bit, it State has visited us. Preparations are complete ahead of today's Mombasa gubernatorial election, with the county returning officer confirming that no single incident of ballot material mix-up has been identified in all the 1,041 polling stations placed across all the 6 constituencies. A section of candidates had expressed concern regarding safety of both voters and party agents. However, the electoral body and county security chiefs insist that the exercise will run smoothly. Seth Olale is in Mombasa and filed this report earlier.
At exactly 10 a.m. Sunday, all the 6 constituency returning officers in Mombasa County officially inspected ballot material to be used in Monday's much anticipated gubernatorial election. The ballot material, including Kim's kits, ballot papers, boxes and voting booths, were then transferred under tight security to all the 1,041 polling stations spread across Mvita, Kisauni, Likoni, Jomvu, Changamwe and Nelly constituencies.
All the materials are ready, the ballot papers are okay, everything is okay. We have the Kim's kits in place and everything is excellent.
With a section of candidates expressing security concerns over the safety of party agents during and after Monday's exercise, the county's security apparatus are assuring all the 7 candidates that security has already been beefed up to ensure all stakeholders are safe and ballot material secured.
Na tunataka kuambia watu wa Mombasa, kesho tukiwa hai na uzima, wasiwe na uoga wowote, wajitokeze, watekeleze demokrasia yao ya kupiga kura.
Tungelipendelea kuona kwamba usalama unapatiwanwa na vyombo vya usalama. Watu watakao piga kura na IEBC itahesabu chenye kiko kwa debe ni watu wa Mombasa.
As far as I'm concerned, there hasn't been any. All that we are doing is that we are working as per the regulations put there in place and the law of the land.
We are very much prepared in terms of security. Every polling station has enough security and we have some who will be on patrol and enough security officers for the tallying center.
Azimio Moja One Kenya candidate Abdul Somad Nasir is expected to cast his vote at Mvita Primary in Majengo, with his UDA counterpart Hassan Omar Sarai casting his vote at Kadeboy Health Center at Old Town. Outgoing Governor Hassan Joho is scheduled to cast his vote at Ziwa la Ng'ombe Primary School.
That they have got to come out and truly vote. Wapige kura mingi, wajitokeze. Kesho ni holiday hapa Mombasa.
If you try to steal our votes, whatever will happen to you will be better imagined than experienced.
Mimi yangu ni kwa si watu wa Mombasa tujitokeze.
A total of 7 candidates are on the ballot in quest of becoming the 2nd governor of Mombasa County. The 641,000 registered voters of Mombasa County will be voting for the 2nd county boss during tomorrow's exercise, with IEBC assuring residents that all plans are already complete to ensure that the 11-hour exercise goes on smoothly. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Nelly, Mombasa County.
All right, and of course, we'll be crossing over to Kakamega County to speak to Brenda Wanga, who is there for us to follow up on the developments of that election in that county for the governorship seat. But you see that some of the stories about those elections are featured on the 2 dailies. On the front page of the Daily Nation, you'll see it's Malala versus Baraza, Omar versus Nasir, Raila versus Ruto all over again. Kakamega and Mombasa go to the polls today to elect their new governors after the postponement of elections 2 weeks ago, and the battle to succeed Oparanya and Joho respectively has boiled down to a Ruto versus Raila affair as Cleophas Malala of ANC and Fernandez Baraza of ODM square it out in the Mulembe bullfighting march, while Hassan Omar of UDA and Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir of ODM duel at the coast. Of course, those are not the only candidates. There are 5 others in each race in Kakamega and Mombasa. But first, Francis Mtalaki is now standing by for us in Mombasa County. Francis, good morning. What can you tell us about the start of polls in that county?
Asante sana Sam Gituko. Ni kwamba shughuli ya upiga kura katika vituo vingi eneo bunge la Nyali tayari imeanza, na hapa nilipo ndipo katika kituo kimoja cha shule ya Ziwa la Ng'ombe, ambapo kama unavyoona kuna maafisa wa polisi. Wapiga kura wameweza kujitokeza hapa, ambapo kuna baadhi ya vituo vya kupigia kura, sehemu ambazo zimeweza kutengwa kuweza kupiga kura katika kituo hiki, na katika moja ya vituo ambavyo vina idadi kubwa ya wapiga kura, na hususan katika eneo bunge la Nyali ambapo kuna zaidi ya wapiga kura 124,000 ambao wanatazamiwa kuweza kupiga kura. Lakini kuna utofauti mkubwa sana, ni kwamba katika siku ya Agosti 9 ambapo kulikuwa na uchaguzi mkuu, hapa kulikuwa na umati mkubwa, umati ambao ulikuwa unaelekea hadi katika barabara kuu ya kutoka kuelekea Mombasa kuelekea Malindi. Lakini hii leo kama unavyoona kwamba wale wapiga kura wanakuja wanapiga kura na wanaondoka kwa muda wa haraka. Lakini nipo na baadhi ya wapiga kura hapa. Songa karibu, alafu niambie majina yako, ulifika saa ngapi?
Mimi naitwa Ambrose Kele, ni mpigaji kura katika kituo hichi cha Ziwa la Ng'ombe. Mimi nimekufika hapa kuanzia saa 11, lakini kituo imefunguliwa saa 12. Mpaka sasa katika stream 1 hakuna kimskit hazifanyi kazi. Tumejaribu kuuliza, tunaambao wanaleta backup. Till now it's almost 6:35 na hakuna kitu ambacho kinaendelea, ambapo hayo tayari inaudhi watu na watu wengi wanakuja wakirudi.
Kuna utofauti upi labda kando na kimskit ambayo labda unaona na ukilinganisha na ule uchaguzi uliopita?
Kuna utofauti kubwa kwa sababu watu hawakujitokeza kama vile siku za kwanza, na jinsi wanavyojua wananchi hii kura ni muhimu kabisa. Lakini sasa mpaka sasa hii kadri mnavyoona turnout iko low, lakini natumai watu tunafanya bidii watu tuwaeleze na watu watoke kupiga kura.
Sitaki kuniambia utampigia nani, lakini yule gavana unakwenda kumchagua, unatafuta sera gani?
Mimi natafuta gavana ambapo anaweza kuleta miundo msingi katika Mombasa County na anaweza kuhudumia wananchi kwa jumla kwa pamoja bila ubaguzi wa rangi wala kabila.
Upande wa usalama umeridhishwa na mikakati iliyowekwa kufikia sasa?
Kufikia sasa hali ya usalama tunaona maafisa wa polisi kila mahali wako chonjo na wako imara. Usalama naona kumeimarisha kufikia sasa.
Asante sana. Acha nimpatie mwenzako labda songa hapa karibu, tuambie labda majina yako.
Mimi naitwa Pastor David Otieno Ndiek.
Ushapiga kura?
Nimepiga kura. Lakini sasa leo watu kidogo kabisa. Ilikuwa kwa siku ile watu walikuwa kwa saa 9 watu walikuwa washaja. Sasa ni vote apathy na nimesikitika sana.
Na unataraji labda wale wapiga kura wengine wakajitokeza kadri siku inavyokwenda?
Wengine na wauliza wanapika vitu vyao kama ni mahamri na nini, hata hawana habari. Wasema labda baadaye, hata hawana habari.
Asante sana. Na mpesha tuongee na mama mmoja. Mami, niambie labda jina lako, umekuja saa ngapi na shughuli nzima unaionaje ya leo?
Na jina naitwa Fatuma Chacha, ni mkaaji wa hapa.
Umefika saa ngapi labda uteleze zoezi nzima la kupiga kura unalionaje?
Hata nimeingia tu sasa hivi na nimeingia nikapiga na natoka.
Kulinganisha na tarehe 9 Agosti, tofauti iko wapi kubwa?
Tofauti iko kubwa sana, maana ile tarehe 9 watu walikuwa wengi, walikuwa wamejitokeza, lakini leo hii hata mimi nimekuja, nilipofika nje nikao nataka nikae. Nikaambiwa ingia, watu wanaingia, maana nilikuwa naona bado shule haijaanza. Naambiwa ingia, watu wanapiga. Na nimeingia, nimepiga na natoka naenda zangu.
Asante sana. Acha tumpatie mwingine. Songa hapa kijana, alafu niambie labda nakuwa ndio unaingia wewe, labda mbona ukamua leo ni karaoka mapema alafu kuja kupiga kura mapema, shughuli ziko vipi?
Nashukuru sana. Kwa majina naitwa Uko Brian. Shughuli ya leo imeenda shwari. Hakuna foleni, tumerauka mapema ili baadaye tuweze kujitafutia pia.
Unaona kwamba huu umati ni mdogo sana, utakwenda kuongezeka kama mpiga kura na mkazi wa eneo hili?
Nina imani. Imani iko kubwa kutaongezeka.
Asante sana. Na umeweza kusikia ni baadhi tu ya wapiga kura ambao labda wameamua kurauka kuja kuchangamkia zoezi hili kuhakikisha kwamba wameweza kushiriki kipute hiki cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Mombasa baada ya kuhairishwa mara 2. Na eneo kaunti ya Mombasa ina jumla ya wapiga kura zaidi ya 641,041 ambao wanatazamiwa kuweza kushiriki kipute hiki, na jinsi wengi walivyoweza kusema kwamba idadi ni ndogo ukiweza kulinganisha na kituo hiki. Kwa mfano ambapo kwa siku ya Agosti 9 kulikuwa na mlolongo mkubwa wa watu wakitaka kupiga kura, lakini labda kadri siku inavyokwenda labda Wakenya watazidi kujitokeza kuenda kupiga kura. Na nikiangalia Sam ni kwamba hapa usalama umedumishwa, maafisa wa IEBC wapo pale kuhakikisha kwamba utakapoingia umeweza kupiga kura yako. Namuona aliyekuwa mbunge wa Kisauni ambaye ni Anania Maboza yuko hapa. Labda niseme naye tu kabla sijaweza kuregesha studioni. Anania Maboza, kama mwanasiasa, hali iko namna gani?
Kwa sasa naona wapiga kura hawajajitokeza vile ninavyojua katika kituo hichi. Kama ile tarehe 9 vile ulikuwa mlolongo umetanda paka huko barabarani karibu Miami huko. Lakini kwa leo hamna watu. Sasa sielewi kama hamasa hawakuhamasishwa ama watu wanaona kwa vile rais washampigia sasa masuala ya governor kwao si muhimu, ama pengine ni vile governor aliyekuwako ambaye anaondoka hakuwatekelezea wananchi wanavyotaka, ndio wanaona hata hichi kiti hakina maana. Lakini ni muhimu sana alikuwa wajitokeze, kwa sababu hivi sasa hata NGF-CDF imefutiliwa mbali na Supreme Court, na hiyo pesa sasa itakuja kwa county government na kutakuwa na ward fund ambayo ndio zitawasaidia. Sasa wasipojitokeza na kuchagua governor wanayemtaka, basi tabu zitakuwa mara 2 mara 3 ya zile zilizokuwako.
Upande wa usalama na IEBC wamejipanga, umeridhika?
Upande wa usalama umeimarishwa. Hata hapa nilipo naona nimezungirwa na mabunduki mengi, na wananchi wenyewe pia ni watulivu, kwa hiyo ndio usalama wa kutosha.
Labda unataraji kwamba huenda umati ukaongezeka kadri siku inavyokwenda, maana ni holiday pia?
Kwa sababu ni holiday, huenda umati ukaongezeka, lakini kwa roho yangu sioni kama utaongezeka, kwa sababu si kawaida. Kama hapa Ziwa la Ng'ombe kuna kura 25,000 hapa. Na sasa angalia tu wale watu ambao wako hapa hakuna.
Asante. Acha nikimalizia nisome na huyo labda majina yako, alafu niambie labda wewe umefika saa ngapi kupiga kura na zoezi nzima unaliona namna gani?
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Mudi Mpapale, mkazi wa Ziwa la Ng'ombe. Nimekuja kupiga kura, na kweli kuangalia turnover ni ndogo, lakini tutajitokeza tupige kura, maana kura kupiga ni haki yako kikatiba.
Unaona hii labda iende ikaathiri yule mshindi atakuwa anatangazwa labda?
Ndiyo, japo kuna siasa chafu ambazo zimetoka, ama pengine kwa vile kupiga kura mara 2 turnover inaweza kuwa ndogo, lakini watu watajitokeza. Niko na imani kubwa.
Asante sana. Na ni baadhi tu ya sehemu ambazo tunazidi kuzipata kutoka kwa wapiga kura pamoja na baadhi ya viongozi ambao wapo hapa, kama vile aliyekuwa mbunge wa Kisauni ambaye kwa sasa anapiga kura katika eneo hili la Nyali ndani ya Maboza, akizungumzia mengi kuhusiana na zoezi hili. Na picha unazoziona hapo ni kwamba ni maafisa wa polisi pamoja na wale wa tume ya IEBC wakifika hapa na kuelekeza ni wapi unapaswa kupiga kura, na pia kuna sehemu ambazo zimeweza kutengwa pale mbele kuhakikisha kwamba utakwenda unatafuta jina lako, alafu utajua ni sehemu ipi ya kituo hiki cha Ziwa la Ng'ombe ambapo utakwenda kupiga kura. Kuna zaidi ya sehemu 12 ambazo ziko hapa, manake kuna idadi ya wapiga kura wengi walioko katika sehemu hii. Kwa hivyo labda kwa matarajio ya wengi kwamba huenda wakazi wakazidi kujitokeza kadri siku inavyokwenda na kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba wameweza kutekeleza wajibu wao wakati wa kikatiba kuweza kumtafuta gavana wa pili wa kaunti ya Mombasa atakayemrithi gavana anayeondoka Ali Hassan Joho.
All right, that is Francis Mtalaki from Mombasa County. And of course, we'll be crossing to West Pokot, where there are some 2 elections, that is in Kacheliba and Pokot South constituencies, that they will be electing their next member of parliament. But I'm not alone here in studio. I'm with Jared Okello, who is the member of parliament for Nyando constituency. How many terms now? This is the second one? Second term. Congratulations for that. Really? Martha Wangari is the Member of Parliament for Gilgil, second term, third term in Parliament?
Third term in Parliament, second term as Member of Parliament for Gilgil.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fred Okango, Secretary, Political Affairs within KANU. Which year now?
We are going on.
There are no terms. There are no terms.
They're going on. But I want to congratulate my two good colleagues here.
All right.
Martha and Jared for a good job. And
indeed, congratulations to both of you. And I want us to take a moment to reflect on the activities of the day and also what has been going on in the world of politics. Let me begin with you, Martha, because you come from Nakuru County. There's a, should I say by-election or just say election, constituency election there.
Yeah.
What has been your assessment without really campaigning for anyone?
Thank you, Sam. And I think, allow me first of all to, of course, thank my people. I've not been here since they elected me, so I want to take this opportunity to thank Gilgil, all my 5 wards, for overwhelmingly voting for me to lead them for a second term. I don't take it for granted. It's not been an easy campaign. It's not been an easy election, but we thank God that we've come this far. And I think we have just come from Rongai last night because we've been camping there, of course, drumming support for our candidate, for our political party. And I know other political parties are doing the same. But I think in Nakuru, we've set the standards. We've set the pace. The governor is UDA, the senator is UDA, and it's a woman. The women rep is UDA. Gilgil is UDA, Naivasha is UDA, Nakuru East is UDA, Kuresoi South is UDA, Kuresoi North is UDA, Subukia is UDA. So we have set the pace. So we are hoping that even this one is coming home, hopefully.
You think it's coming home. But what are the residents saying because of that disruption that happened? Of course, they had expected they would be doing this on the 9th of August. They didn't do it. How they received these developments?
Of course, the confusion brought a bit of apprehension in terms of many people were ready to vote on 9th. Some had to travel. Of course, it's an inconvenience of some sort. But I think the Member of Parliament position, even as we vote for the presidential and other positions, is very critical. So they are very keen in terms of making a decision on who becomes their Member of Parliament. So we are hoping to see even a higher turnout than we had for the general election. I would say the voters are very excited in terms of making that choice that is very critical for them.
Jared, what's your take about these elections that are going on in some 8 electoral areas, including Mombasa, Kakamega, then the 4 constituencies?
Well, firstly, thank you, Sam, for inviting me. This is my first show post-election, and therefore I'm glad to be back on my show. Secondly, let me thank the people of Nyando for giving me a second chance to serve them. And that is a testament that whatever we had set to accomplish in my first term were actually done. And that is the confidence that they have showed in my leadership. And I thank them. And most of all, I thank God for granting us this victory. The victory basically belongs to God. Now, coming back to your question, Sam, you first have to ask yourself a mundane question. What happened that other elections are being conducted today when the general election, as the term would put it, ended on the 9th of August? That means IEBC, the electoral umpire, messed up the process, and deliberately so, to perhaps offer leverage on political elections to certain limb of the political parties.
What gives you that notion?
It is deliberate, and I think this is going to come out even as we prosecute our case before the Supreme Court, that to have had Mombasa and Kakamega postponed was to suppress the voters by creating apathy. Because there are people who go to vote. Of course, you have the 6 tiers of individuals to vote for. But at the end of the day, you have a preferred position that you'd really want to push your person to galvanize. And therefore, the idea of postponing the gubernatorial positions in these 2 areas, areas that are known to be Azimio strongholds, wasn't happenstance. It wasn't coincidental. That was deliberate, and this was planned long time before the elections by Chebukati and company.
Oh, okay, I'll get back to that. But first, let's cross over to West Pokot County in Kacheliba specifically, where Collins Chiteba is standing by. There are some 3 candidates going for the seat of Member of Parliament. Good morning, Chiteba. What can you tell us about? It's now 46 minutes since the polls are supposed to open. Have they?
Sam, ukiangalia nyuma yangu ni baadhi ya wakazi ambao wamefika hapa ili kupiga kura katika shughuli hii adhimu, kwani ilikuwa imeahirishwa tarehe 9, pia ilikapangiwa tarehe 23. Sasa wamepata fursa ya kushiriki katika uchaguzi huu, na ikumbuka kwamba hapa katika eneo bunge la Kacheliba zaidi ya watu 51,000 watashiriki kwenye uchaguzi huo, huku vituo 224 pia zikitumika kupiga kura wakati huu. Na kuna wale ambao wanawania viti 3, lakini kulingana na wale maafisa wa tume huru ya uchaguzi nchini, wanasema kwamba huenda kufikia kesho asubuhi tutakuwa tumepata mshindi mmoja, kwani kufikia sasa wakazi wa eneo hili wanafika hapa na kupiga kura haraka na kuondoka. Wanafika na kupiga kura haraka. Ni zoezi ambalo linaenda kwa kasi sana. Na hapa ninaungana naye aliyekuwa mbunge wa eneo hili na Ngole, ambaye alikuwa mbunge miaka ya 88. Ni 88. Hebu utuambie shughuli ya leo inaendeleaje hapa katika hii shule ya msingi ya Kacheliba?
Collins, kwanza ni kushukuru. Tunashukuru Mungu kwamba hali ya anga ni mzuri. Hapa Kacheliba huwa na kuanga na joto, lakini asubuhi nashukuru Mungu kwamba ametujalia. Asante kwa kufika. Tunatarajia mambo itakuwa mizuri. Tunakuwa vizuri. Hapa kawaida sisi watu ya Kacheliba hatujawahi kukuwa na tasusi yoyote ikiwa time ya elections, na nataraji itakuwa nzuri sana. Hatutakuwa na shida yoyote. Na ombi langu ni kwamba itaendelea vizuri.
Okay. Ukitofautisha uchaguzi huu na ile uchaguzi ambao mlikuwa mnashiriki miaka ya 80, iko na tofauti gani?
Utofauti ya wakati huu ni mambo yenu ya digital, mambo ya mamashini, lakini wakati wetu ilikuwa ni kila kitu ni manual. Yes.
Kulikuwa na malalamishi yote ati kuna wizi wa kura ama aina zozote?
Enzi hiyo pengine wakati ilikuwa ya KANU mambo ya mlolongo kidogo ndio ungepata furuku, lakini hatukuwa na shida.
Okay.
Hatukuwa na shida.
Swali langu la mwisho, umepiga kura na umechukua muda gani kupiga kura?
Nimechukua dakika, tulikuja asubuhi na mapema na kidogo kulikuwa na kitu kama delay kidogo, na nimechukua muda karibu 30 minutes 40 minutes hapa, lakini saa hii nimepiga kura yangu.
Asante. Madam, wewe umepiga kura?
Nimepiga kura.
Niliona mkusukumana pale kidogo. Shida ilikuwa nini?
Ni mashini ilikuwa imeanza kufanya kazi. Sasa walikuwa wanaangalia wajaribu kusign. Sasa imekubali, tumepiga kura.
Okay. Unajisikiaje kushiriki katika uchaguzi huu baada ya kuahirishwa mara 2?
Najisikia vizuri sana kupiga kura. Venye ilirudishwa nimefurahia sana na nimepiga asubuhi na mapema.
Wewe ni mkazi wa eneo hili. Je, tatizo lilikuwa nini wakati wa kupiga kura hapa asubuhi?
Tumefika hapa asubuhi, mimi napigia polling station ile ya kwanza hapo. Lakini shida ile tumeona ni kuwa hao wa agents ya lote wamekuja na ni kama wanataka kuwashawishi wapigaji kura ili wapigie mtu wao. Na ndo sisi pia tumesema sisi ni watu wa Kacheliba na tungependa ili uchaguzi kuwe ni wa huru na haki, kila mtu anafaa aende apige kura mwenyewe bila kusawishiwa na wale maagenti wa.
Mimi inauliza, je, kutakuwa na watu watajitokeza kikamilifu kushiriki kwenye uchaguzi huu baada ya kuahirishwa mara 2, nyinyi kama wakazi wa eneo hili?
Kwa ukweli ile watu kukuja wengi itakuwa ni shida kidogo, kwa sababu hata tukiona hapo kitambo tarehe 9 watu kufika muda kaa saa hii watu walikuwa wamejaa katika hii uwanja wa Kacheliba Primary School, but leo tunaona watu ni wachache. Ingawaje tunaomba tu Mwenyezi Mungu atusaidie kila mtu akuje tupige kura ili tuchague kiongozi wetu ambaye kwamba tunampenda.
Hao ni baadhi ya wakazi wa kaunti ya Pokot Magharibi, haswa katika eneo bunge la Kacheliba, katika shule ya msingi ya Kacheliba ambapo wapiga kura wamekuwa wakifika hapa. Wanasema kwamba Shughuli za kupiga kura katika eneo hili ilichelewa kwa zaidi ya dakika 30, lakini shughuli hiyo kufikia sasa inaendelea kwa njia taratibu, japo wanasema kwamba huenda wakazi wengi wakakosa kujitokeza katika kushiriki katika zoezi hili, kwani kuna wale wakazi ambao wangeshiriki katika zoezi hili tarehe 9 kwa sababu walikuwa wanataka kumpigia rais, kwa sababu walikuwa wanataka kumpigia gavana, kwa sababu walikuwa wanataka kumpigia seneta, kwa sababu walikuwa wanataka kumpigia mwakilishi wa kike na mwakilishi wadi, lakini kuna wale ambao hawatafika kwa sababu wale wagombea ambao wanawaenzi huenda wakakosa kuwa katika kushiriki katika uchaguzi huu. Na nilizungumza na pia na maafisa wa IEBC katika eneo hili, wanasema kwamba kulingana na kampeni ambazo wale waaniaji wametekeleza katika eneo hili, huenda idadi ya wapiga kura ikazidi zaidi ya 60% wakajitokeza kutoka maeneo yote katika eneo hili. Kutoka kwangu hapa katika mji wa Kacheliba, kaunti ya Pokot Magharibi, mimi ni Collins Shitiabai, kwako Sam.
All right, thank you so much, Shitabai there, speaking to some of the voters in that constituency, and we'll get back to him later on the show. But there's also an election in a neighboring constituency that is Pokot South. We hope that he'll also take us there. But in the meantime, let's cross back to Mombasa County, where Seth Olale is standing by in Nelly Constituency. Good morning, Seth. What can you tell us now?
Well, Sam, you can't believe how the process is very short. Actually, it takes less than a minute, literally, because apart from, or in contrast to what we saw on August 9th, when all the election for the other positions, except for the governor position, was held, this time round it is only one ballot box for the governor, meaning that this particular process is very short. Now, I'm going to just take you literally to what it entails. Upon the arrival of a voter, like the one you're just seeing behind in front of your screen, what they do is just to go through the normal identification process, that is through the KIMS kit, and that is where now they check if they have either a national ID or a valid passport, and also if they registered at this particular place during the last time's election. And there you go, that is now the KIMS kit, just trying to verify, you know, if indeed the biometric data can be captured there. And then after that, of course, now it is the issuance of the ballot paper, just one this time round, as opposed to 6 in the August 9th election, because of the obvious reasons. This time is only the governor's position that is of interest at this particular moment. So once that is done, now he proceeds to the next stop. Remember that the poll officials still have his ID, so that is where he gets to vote. That is the voting booth, and it's just a matter of indicating his preferred candidates. Remember that there are 7 candidates, and now next he proceeds to casting his vote in that particular ballot box, just one this time round, and then he is now he gets his finger marked just to signal that actually he has undergone this particular process, and there he leaves this particular polling station. Less than a minute actually. Mzee, hebu tueleze tu, tuone umeweza kufika hapa na umeweza kupiga kura. Hebu tuambie tu, imekuchukua takriban sekunde 30 peke yake. Ukiangalia kamera, hebu tueleze tu unajisikiaje kuweza kupiga kura hii leo, na uliamka saa ngapi?
Nimeamka saa 12:30. Unajua nakaa hapa karibu. Haijachukua dakika nyingi sana sababu ni rahisi sana.
Na uliweza kushiriki katika ile uchaguzi wa Agosti 9?
Yeah.
Uliweza kushiriki?
Yeah, nilipiga kura.
Wapi, katika kituo hichi?
Yeah, katika kituo hiki.
Basi kumbuka kwamba hivi leo pia tu ni likizo, siku ya likizo hapa Mombasa. Je, kutoka hapa waenda wapi kufanya nini?
Nikitoka hapa narudi nyumbani, nijitayarishe niende kazini. Yeah.
Na hali imekuwaje kufikia sasa hapa katika kaunti ya Mombasa? tunajua kwamba kulikuwa na mtazamio kubwa kwa sababu hapo awali uchaguzi ambao ulikuwa unafaa ufanyike wa ugavana uliweza kuhairishwa mara mbili, lakini hatimaye ni kama mmepewa haki yenu nini wakazi wa Mombasa. Hebu tueleze tu hali kwaje katika kaunti hii? Kuna utulivu?
Kuna utulivu kwa sababu mara ya kwanza sisi tulikuwa tunatarajiwa, sisi tulikuwa tunangoja sana kwa hamu kupiga kura wakati ule wa rais. So unajua kuna wale watu wengi ambao walikuwa wamekuja kutoka mbali wakuja wavote. So wengine kama walirudi. Sasa zile ambao tulibaki inabidi tucheke sokoni tukuje tuvote.
Asante sana. Basi ndakuacha tu uende shughuli yako. Asante sana. So Sam, barely 20 seconds actually. It just takes you 20 seconds. We have also another voter there just coming to, execute actually her democratic rights, and the procedure is just the same. They come, they give their identification details, the ID, they counter check with the KIMS kit. They're given just one ballot paper again, and after that, of course, they go mark. They go to that particular voting booth. They mark their preferred candidate, and then cast their vote, and then it's over. Literally 20 seconds. Most. So which signals maybe that this particular exercise today is expected to end, by 5 p.m. We don't expect any long queues, at least at this particular polling station in Nelly Constituency. Right now, I just want to rope in another voter who's actually just cast his vote a while ago, and they're going to tell us that, Hebu tueleze tu waitwa nani na uliweza kumkasa ngapi ile kukuja hapa kupiga kura?
Kwa majina ninaitwa Rolex Odwor, mimi ni mkaji hapa Mombasa Nyari, na niliweza kuamka saa 12:30 na nimefurahia sana the whole process. It is very short, like mimi nimechukua sekunde 20 peke yake. It's very short. What we anticipate as Kenyans is justice to prevail.
And talk about justice. Did you also participate in the presidential election on August 9th here?
Yes, on August 9th I participated here and I casted my ballot. So we just anticipate the Supreme Court.
No. We are not going into court matters. Thank you so much. So just one of the voters registered at this particular station. We have about 6 streams. One stream has about 6, ranging from about 550 to 650 registered voters. So we are nearly, we're going to move to the other 5 constituencies very fast. And just to get to familiarize ourselves with what Mombasa contains in terms of this particular gubernatorial race. Like I stated earlier on, we have 7 candidates who are contesting to succeed the outgoing governor, that is Hassan Joho. So among them we have Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir representing ODM. We also have Said Abdallah Walugembe of the Usawa Kwa Wote Party. We have Daniel Kitsao, an independent candidate. We also have Hassan Omar Hassan Sarai. That's the UDA candidate. We also have Hezron Awiti, representing the Vibrant Democratic Party. Like I said earlier, Sam, we have Nelly Constituency in particular has 124,253 voters. We have Kisauni with the largest number of registered voters at 135,276. Mvita has 118,974 voters. Likoni 94,765. Changamwe 93,561. Lastly, Jomvu Constituency 73,085. Remember that the Mombasa County has 30 wards. It has 1,141 polling stations. This is just one of them. And of course, all the 641,913 total registered voters will be participating in today's gubernatorial election, according to the 2019 population census. Mombasa County was estimated to have about 1.2 million residents of Mombasa County. So at this particular moment, we will just be heading to additional constituencies. What we know is that the leading contestants in this particular race, the likes of Abdul Swamad,
Sawa party, and we'll keep going back to where the elections are happening in some 4 constituencies and 2 counties for the governorship, and of course there are some 2 other elections for MCAs in ward within Nairobi's Embakasi area, as well as another in Meru County. And back in studio, I'm still with Jared Okello, Martha Wangari, and Fred Okango. And Fred, I've not given you an opportunity to speak after the election. Yes. But good morning, and what is your take about the processes? Because you've taken a round of them in Kacheliba, Mombasa, and of course you had also spoken to our reporters in Kakamega and Rongai. What's your take about this exercise, despite the concerns that Jared was expressing?
Thank you so much. Actually, I haven't been here since the elections happened, the general elections, and now we are here trying to look at the mini polls. I want to first of all congratulate all the various individuals who were elected on various seats from MCA to the governor level and members of parliament, and I'm with some of them here, and I congratulate them. But I also want to congratulate Kenyans for having participated and undertook their civic duty to participate in this election, and for remaining calm, even though we have seen what is others call opaque, and we are staring at a supreme decision. So we congratulate Kenyans for keeping peace. But on these specific mini polls, we are going into the polls with the very, very IBC that has been accused of mismanaging the general election. I want to believe that in these polls, we are not going to see similar accusations and allegations against the independent commission that is tasked with delivering these polls in a free, fair, and credible manner. So far, from what we are seeing on TV, if the preparations are anything to go by, and given that we are going to have single elections in those particular areas, then this exercise by 7 p.m. today, I suspect that we could be having the winners. And I only want to wish them the best, but from our end in Azimio, we know for sure that our candidates will carry the day. But I'm very particular on a specific constituency, as interested party, with that, Rongai. In Rongai, we are fielding a candidate in the name of Honorable Raymond Moi, who is a KANU candidate. And we know, we have been there, we have heard what the people are saying on the ground. His development record speaks for itself. So we do hope that as we go into this election, the people of Rongai will vote for development and not color.
Fred, I think you're campaighing, actually.
I'm not campaigning.
Can you just not go there?
And I did not campaign for mine. I should go back.
Don't campaign. It's
campaigns ended on Saturday.
The preparations are, we can say some fairly, for now, we want to give the IBC the benefit of doubt. But as I said earlier, you have seen, and the Kenyans have seen, the allegations against the independent commission. And if they are going to conduct this election, then they should now remember that with the cloud around their head, they must guarantee that these mini polls will not have an outcome that we are seeing in the general elections, or rather, particularly in the presidential elections that we are
what is a particular concern? And leave out the presidential election because there's a petition at the Supreme Court. But
my particular concern, is that we have a commission that is already divided. We have a commission that, going into a mini poll, cannot sit and agree on certain issues, even from the body language when you look at them sitting. When they met at Bomas, when they were meeting some of these candidates who are now participating in this election, you could see the tension. So that tension has been extended from their communication, from their responses, and that is what is worrying majority of Kenyans. That is what is worrying the people who are participating in the election.
Fred.
That one alone is a concern.
Fred, I hear your concern, but I would want us to be very factual, because the people you see there admitting voters to come and cast their ballots, those are not IBC commissioners. Those are temporary officials of IBC, and after that there are certain processes that will be undertaken in terms of counting and tallying of the results, which will be done by the returning officers. How then does the division at the top of the IEBC affect the conducting of these elections, and what particular issue do you have with the other 5 elections?
Sam,
the presidential.
We must understand what is a commission. By the way, Sam, the Constitution of Kenya talks of
Please
commission.
Be specific to the question I've asked you.
Yes. It speaks of a commission. A commission is the entire IBC and their staff. However, on these specific ones, we understand that they are returning officers who have been doing a very good job. They're going to do a good job. We hope so. But the fact that they work for the institution, I am sure even where they are worried. Some we have seen returning officers complaining. We have seen returning officers, some of them missing. We have seen returning officers dying. That is the concern the Kenyans are having. And what I'm saying is that we want to wish them well. And as we wish them well, we want to ask the commission again to conduct these elections according to the dictates of the Constitution as required of them. That is what I'm saying. And in this election, as I've said again, it is going to be more or less a smooth election because the electoral positions are just single ones. If it is Kachiliba, it is the member of parliament. It's Mombasa, governor. Kakamega, governor. By 7, we do hope that we shall be now seeing the outcome as the results come in. What we are repeating as stakeholders is that we ask the commission to exercise their mandate according to the law and carry out these mini polls in a manner that is transparent, accurate, simple, and verifiable. That is the word that we are saying, nothing else.
You're saying the commission or the commissioners?
The commission.
Okay.
I have been very consistent. Some have been saying commission.
Okay.
Well, if you allow me to buttress a point that he has raised, I mean, you are talking about the temporary employees in the name of presiding officers who are going to carry out elections and are doing it right away. And you're trying to put into context how there could be manipulation from that point if you juxtapose that with the differences that we see at the IBC right here. But again, the commission generally, particularly the commissioners, their main mandate is to come up with policies. And those policies are cascaded down to the secretariat. And the returning officers are actually members of the secretariat, and they are permanent employees. So if you come up with a policy that perhaps is not in tandem with electoral laws, you can imagine what is going to happen down there with the implementers, who are in this sense the returning officers. We have seen division in the commission. And I want to believe and hope that that division has not been cascaded to the secretariat, that you have members of the secretariat aligned to the 4, and you have members of the secretariat aligned to the 3, because that would be a travesty of justice in this electoral process. So IBC needs to put its house in order so that they can speak from one voice. And that division is not going to affect what is going to happen today on the ground. But again, if you have returning officers who are going to behave like their boss Chebukati, then you can imagine what is going to happen at the end of the day.
Jared, you won the election in Nyando, just a minute. You won the election in Nyando.
I did.
Was there any interference because of the division at the level of the commissioners?
Not any that has been expressed by myself. What has been expressed is at the presidential level.
So is your fear founded or unfounded?
Well, you know there is a live matter before the Supreme Court. At least no one has taken me to court as yet. We still have 28 days from the date of declaration, as is espoused in law, for one to present a petition if you're dissatisfied with Nyando's pronouncement. But nothing has taken shape. But we have a serious issue.
No, we'll get back to that. Martha.
Allow me to weigh in, because, you know, Sam, sometimes when you listen, and, you know, I'm seated between two Azimio supporters, and I will tell you, if, God forbid, Raila had won the presidency, this language would be different. And I think, with all fairness, it's important that we give IEBC the benefit of doubt, that for the first time, there has been verifiable results by even a layman who can actually tally those results from the portal of IEBC without even, you know, with a simple calculator. And I think this IEBC job is not an easy one. We have seen members of staff being, being threatened, being abducted, being even killed. It's not an easy job. And I think it would be unfair to always load it on to them that if you don't declare my preferred candidate, then you're a bad commission. And I think what we have seen with IEBC, even with these four, the two and the four and the three, the differences only played out when these results had been tallied on the floor of Bomas. And I don't want us to go to the details of the petition at the Supreme Court. But I think if we say IEBC is done a bad job, then it has done a bad job in Nyando, it has done a bad job in Gilgil, it has done a bad job in every other constituency. But we cannot choose when it is convenient that IEBC did a good job when they declared me the MP of Gilgil, but when they declared another person as a governor-elect who I don't agree with, then the commission is bad. I think it is not right and it is not fair. And secondly, the issue of suppressing the will of the people, and I think Honorable Okello had raised it, that the confusion that came with IEBC, I think really was a genuine mistake in terms of confusion of print of materials. And if anything, if you think an area is an Azimio stronghold, you have the chance to bring out the people to vote, because it has happened today. So you don't have to say he did not take the people away, you know, from that county or from that constituency. So it cannot be that you singled out.
How do you bring them out within the law?
You cannot single out one constituency or one county and say that cannot happen because you want someone to win. It is not practically possible. And for the first time, this election has not only gone smoothly, has not only gone violence-free, because for the first time since 1997, I think there has not been any eruption of serious skirmishes or serious post-election violence in terms of the results that were announced at Bomas. And that's something I would actually commend my opponents and the Azimio supporters this time, that they have not gone for violence and they have gone to, and that's a constitutional right. So we pray that they argue their case the right manner, but at the end of the day, we have a president-elect. We had agents everywhere. We tallied our results, and I think you cannot make your disorganization a national crisis. It is not possible that you did not have your secretariat do your job, and you blame the IEBC totally for a job that you did not do. I think the IEBC has done a commendable job. The IEBC has finished an election that is a difficult election, but in terms of trying to fix results on Kenyans, that cannot be done. And these commissioners, some, do not have a vote. They actually don't generate results. They actually only tally what has come from the polling station. That has been voted in, yes.
I'm getting afraid because we might be getting into a matter that we shouldn't, which is at the Supreme Court, and we should be having a case management conference tomorrow at that court. But Fred has been itching to respond, but there's also a pending question about how do you bring out the voters legally on the day of election?
For myself, how do you?
How do you bring out the voters to vote? Because the announcement to postpone was made on 8th.
Yeah.
And the election was on 9th. So how do you bring out the voters?
You do not bring out the voters literally. You finish during your campaigns. You persuade members of your area to vote for you.
By 8th,
to have a reason.
Campaign.
To have a reason. No, there was even an open, there was 4 days, until 48.
No, what Sam is saying, the decision by Chebukati and company to postpone the elections in those areas that are conducting today was done on the 8th. a day before the general election. And remember, constitutionally, 2 days before elections, all campaigns must stop.
But that is
so Sam is bringing a very
point.
salient point here.
But it's a good point because the campaigns were done.
How do you still...
Yes, the reason I'm asking is because you said the voters didn't move. You had the opportunity to bring them out to vote. So how do you do that?
No, I was responding, Sam. I think you didn't get me. I was responding to Jared's point that IEBC actually did that decision to suppress areas that were Azimio strongholds, not to vote. And my point is, if it was an Azimio stronghold, then the people are still there. They would still vote for the Azimio candidate, even if the day has changed. They have not moved from there.
Well, Sam, if you allow me...
You just revised your statement, but
it is the same thing.
Yeah. Sam, it's interesting.
No, sorry. Let's hear from Fred. There's something you wanted to raise after Martha's statement.
Okay, thank you, Sam. I think it is, even as we stay away from the petition that is active before court, there are certain facts that cannot change. Looking at these mini polls that we are going into, IBC in their own admission said that there were errors in the ballot papers. They actually admitted, and that's why they postponed this. To that extent, there was a problem. And so we have to go back to the referee and ask ourselves, are we going to see other errors post the polls? Number two, Honorable Martha Wangari said that these results were actually verifiable. I'm not sure, and I don't want to comment about that. I'm not sure, and that's why we're in court.
Then why are you raising it?
I'm raising it because she said they are, and they are...
From where I sit.
Their documentation showing that they were actually not. So that is an issue that will be canvassed in
That's
court.
What I'm saying.
So she should not...
We cannot resolve that.
She should not have said it.
From where I sit.
And I didn't see you mentioning that.
From where I sit, they are very...
Then number two... The commission has a duty to perform. And that duty is to ensure that they deliver a free, fair, and credible election in this mini poll specifically. What the public are expecting, even after they were postponed, is that we cannot go back or claw back on the necessities of law that they are required to look at and conduct the poll. And that's why I keep saying, if they are going to administer this poll in the same way that they have been accused of not doing previously, then there will be a problem. But we do hope that because it is going to be a very simple poll where you wake up, and they have seen people waking up, you walk to the polling station, vote, and go back home and wait, then we are likely to see a smooth process.
Okay.
Jared has said that there is also likely to be an issue, if at all, the division is cascading downwards to the junior staff. We pray that that division that we have seen from their affidavits, from the body language, from the meetings, do not, because we don't want to interfere again with these mini polls. We want a mini poll that will be reflecting the will of the people in Mombasa, the will of the people in Kakamega, the will of the people in Kachiliba, the will of the people in Rongai. Okay. That one, we have to talk about it because at the end of the day, when the people vote, they do expect certain outcomes from their vote. And that's why I'm at pain when I hear Madam Wangari here saying that the outcome of the polls are acceptable. They're not acceptable to some, and that's why people are in court. So let's leave it at that point.
Well, Sam.
No, Jared, I'll give you an opportunity after the break. But of course, as Fred says, that the will of the people are expressing their will at the moment in 8 areas: Mombasa, Kakamega, Kacheliba, Pokot South, Kitui Rural, and Rongai constituencies, and 2 wards. I'll be giving the names after the break. Stay tuned. We're back with more on Kenya's Choice.